Welcome to the Westport Library. Today's program will begin momentarily. Supported by Verso Studios, created locally and shared with the world.
Hi, Westport. Happy Pride. My name is Carrie, and I am part of the programming team here at the library, and I am so excited to welcome you to tonight's event with Jeff Hiller in conversation with Julie Klausner. Yes. This event is part of our OUTspoken series here at the library, which centers and celebrates the voices and stories of the LGBTQ+ community at a time when so much of the humanity of LGBTQ+ folks is under attack, especially in the trans community. OUTspoken is rooted in this library's core mission of being a safe and welcoming space for all. And in the belief that amplifying queer joy is a radical and essential source of allyship, community building, and empowerment. Oh, I like you guys. Yes, keep it going. And we are so grateful to welcome our two guests tonight who both do so much to amplify queer joy and laughter in their own lives and through their work. Before I introduce our guests tonight, I'd like to take a moment to thank our community partner, Triangle Community Center. Rachel and Wendy back there, hopefully you've all had a chance to say hi. And check out what they do. Triangle serves all of Fairfield County LGBTQ+ community. They have amazing programs for all ages, lots of ways to get involved. So thank you to Triangle for being here. I also wanted to give a quick shout out. They are running a needs assessment survey right now for LGBTQ+ folks in Fairfield County, just to get a sense of how to direct their funding. So they have cards at the table. So if you are a community member, Rachel's holding them up back there if you want to take a peek. English and Spanish QR code. So if you'd like to, if you're interested in taking that survey, go on, grab a card, and we would love for you to take a card. Thank you so much, guys. So thanks to Triangle. So tonight, we are here specifically to celebrate actor, comedian, and writer Jeff Hiller. Yes, all right. As a performer who got his start working in improv comedy decades ago, Jeff has the kind of versatility as an actor where, for example, if you met him in an elevator, it could likely go one of two ways. You either end up having the most hilarious, heartwarming conversation of your life, or you end up blacked out and waking up in a pit, putting the lotion in the basket. That is the kind of range we are working with here, my friends, and that versatility is exemplified by the vast array of characters, from the comedic to the kind of creepy, he's played in countless television, movie, and stage appearances, including, but not limited to, waiter, security guard, therapist, hotel clerk, Mexican restaurant waiter, subway man, I am not making this up, this is straight off IMDb, in shows and movies like The Watcher, American Horror Story, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, 30 Rock, Law & Order: Criminal Intent, as well as Difficult People, the amazing show created by our other guests tonight. So tonight is truly an epic crossover event, and you are here to witness it, I'm just saying. But Jeff got all of our attention most recently through his co-starring role as Joel on HBO's Peabody Award-winning show, the exquisitely poignant, heartwarming, hilarious Somebody Somewhere. And talk about amplifying queer joy. It gave those of us who have been making the trip to way downtown Manhattan for decades to watch Bridget Everett and Murray Hill do their things, the chance to welcome them into our living rooms as chosen family. And I think made all of us who've been lucky enough to fall in love with this show wish we were also Joel's BFF. And tonight, we are here to celebrate Jeff's recently released memoir, Actress of a Certain Age, a humorous and utterly heartwarming collection of autobiographical essays detailing Jeff's journey from growing up profoundly gay in Texas to his experiences as a social worker and how he clawed, scraped, and brawled his way to Hollywood's lower middle tier. Jeff is joined in conversation tonight by writer, comedian, and actor Julie Klausner. Julie, as I mentioned, is the creator, writer, and star of Hulu's critically acclaimed Difficult People, co-starring Billy Eichner. She was also head writer and co-executive producer for seasons 1 to 4 of Billy's Billy on the Street, and recently co-executive producer and staff writer at Schmigadoon for Apple TV. Julie is the author of 2 books, I Don't Care About Your Band, and Art Girls Are Easy, which you can find in our collection, BTW, if you're looking to take those out. And she's written for the New York Times, the New Yorker, New York Magazine, and many other publications that don't have the word New York in them. In addition to Difficult People, Julie can be seen on screen on The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, Fosse Verdon, and At Home with Amy Sedaris. And her voice can be heard on FX's What We Do in the Shadows, Netflix's Big Mouth, and you can get her in your ears not once, but twice a week by listening to her 2 podcasts, How Was Your Week and Double Threat, which she co-hosts with Tom Sharpling. Westport, please welcome to our stage, Jeff Hiller and Julie Klausner.
We didn't hear it, and we came out too soon. Sorry. The jig is up.
But
we're
you
here.
Can't come out too soon at Pride! Jeff Hiller, what a pleasure to see you in Westport, as I've dreamt. As the premonition goes, here we are together.
Yes.
Congratulations on your book.
Thank you. Oh, my face is
I know
so
your
big.
face. Your face for the world to see.
It's so true.
Congratulations. Tell me what makes a great celebrity memoir.
Well, the joke answer is don't spend a lot of time talking about your grandparents. And the true answer is be authentic, right? Be real, be truthful. And then I think also, like, don't be humorless.
Right.
Nobody's life is that serious, right? Mm-hmm. Even Stalin probably laughed a couple times. Mm-hmm. I love Stalin's memoir. It is hilarious.
I think it was called Stalin Valor, if I remember properly. Jeff, what are some of your favorite celebrity memoirs?
I bet you do you like them too?
I do. I mean, I was waiting for, because all of your chapters are named after some of your favorites, but yeah. I was kind of waiting for Mackenzie Phillips to show up, but she didn't. I mean, have you read that one?
Yeah, that one was sad.
Crazy.
That one was, I would just felt a lot of pain for her.
What about Cher?
Loved Cher, but Cher's is called Cher.
Well, that's just part 1, Jeff.
Yeah, it's true. I should have named one called Cher Part 1. That would have been great. There were a lot of my favorites that didn't make it in because I tried to pick books that had titles that represented the chapter that I was writing. But there was one book that is a chapter title that I did not read. Everyone else, I read all the books except for...
Wait, can I guess?
Yeah.
Is it the Tim Allen one?
Yes! I haven't read the Tim Allen one.
You're telling me that you did not read Don't Stand Too Close to a Naked Man by Tim Allen?
I didn't, but I have a story about being naked standing next to Téa Leoni, and I was like, well, this is too perfect.
So can you tell me about that story?
Yeah, well, as an actor, you take any job you get, and I got a job playing a character named Naked Guy, and I was like, maybe it's ironic. No, but it was PG-13, so don't worry. But anyway, I had to stand on Fifth Avenue in a dance belt, just a big old fleshy mass of humanity. And I was standing next to just the most beautiful people. It was Téa Leoni and Billy Campbell. Do you know who they are? They're not fuggos, you know what I'm saying? And it was a humiliating experience. And Téa Leoni said something to me, which I talk about in the book, and I do want to say, like, she was being funny. I feel like a couple of interviews have made it been like, that witch! And she was, listen, I worked with some people who were terrible. I didn't put them in the book. She was just being funny, but it was slightly harsh towards my self-esteem.
What did she say, Jeff?
She said, can we get this guy his robe? And I was like, oh, it's okay, it's my gift to the city. And she said, no, the robe is for me because I have to look at you. That's pretty funny, though.
I was hung up on this guy.
Oh, she definitely didn't know my name. Without a doubt, she didn't know my name.
But you talk in that chapter about the only thing that is competitive with your, I guess, like, struggle with your body as your desire to be in a movie, and that's got to be like two diametrically opposed forces.
It was Sophie's choice. I had to choose my modesty or my career, and off came the kit. You know what I'm saying? As the Brits say, take your kits off.
And the makeup artist's face, like, they weren't very subtle with you, were they?
No, I find makeup artists don't have a lot of game when it comes to protecting your feelings. Yeah, when I took off my shirt, she was like,
yeah, she did a trip.
Get my airbrush cannon! And then I had to get spray painted in the trailer every morning, and then Billy Campbell would come in and just casually take off his shirt and shave, and he was standing there looking like this model, and I'm like looking like a, you know, that fish that has the weird nose.
The blobfish.
Blobfish. Yeah, that's what it looked like. And they made me stand like this. Like
a chalk outline.
Yeah, like the airport security thing.
They didn't even come to your trailer to do it? You had to go into the makeup trailer.
Oh, yeah.
Did you wear the sack? Did you keep the sack? The modesty sack? What is it called? The modesty pouch?
The modesty pouch. Yeah, I didn't have to wear I did wear a full thong, and I did keep it because they said, we don't want it. Exactly.
We can't burn it. It's rejecting the fire.
Exactly. When we tried to burn it, it screamed. I mean, I don't think I have it anymore, but I think I did take it away from there, yeah.
Will you tell me about auditioning for Stephen Sondheim?
Yeah, I did. I auditioned for Stephen Sondheim for a planned revival of A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum. And I sang for him, and he was like, so into it. I was like, oh my God, I'm nailing it. And everything was going so well, and they all were like celebrating me, and it was so exciting. And I went home and I was like, I can't believe I'm gonna work with Stephen Sondheim. And I was just like watching all of these YouTube videos about Stephen Sondheim and all these interviews he gave. And in one of the interviews he said, these people said, like, do you ever pretend to pretend to watch something? And he said, the only thing I ever pretend is to like every audition of every actor, because if I didn't, they would kill themselves. And then I threw myself out the window. It was a really sweet thing to hear. It was a sweet thing to say. It was a sad thing to hear.
Could you tell me about auditioning for Sam Mendes and him hearing you have diarrhea?
I could. Yeah, God, that was so embarrassing. I can't believe I put that in the book. There's this audition room where the bathrooms are in the audition room. They're not in the waiting room.
Is this in Ripley Greer?
No, it's at the roundabout space on 46th Street. And
there's a audition space, which are like sort of like studios on occasion, but they're not like high quality. They're not like this place.
Yeah.
And so there's one audition room that you described in your book that has a restroom in it.
Yeah.
So it's not even like down the hallway.
Right, so like you can't go to, like you show up and you can't just be like, I'm gonna run to the bathroom before I go to the audition. You just have to go to the audition. And when I was in the audition, I was having a crisis. Don't eat at those salad bars in New York City. And Sam Mendes, who directed Cabaret and won a Tony, and he directed like James Bond movies, and he won the Oscar for American Beauty. He was directing this workshop of a musical, and I sang my up-tempo, and he goes, great, great, great. Do you have any questions? And I was like, can I use your bathroom? And I went in there, and like, I destroyed it. I mean, it was like, I was like, oh no, I'm gonna hit the ceiling. And as I was cleaning up the gun shrapnel, I could hear them talking, and they were talking like how you and I are talking, and I was like, I can hear everything they're saying. And I just played the William Tell overture out of my butthole. And I just walked out and I just was like, thank you so much. And then I got the job. Probably pity. Probably pity. But then it went to Broadway and I didn't, so, you know.
There are so many great tales of Jeff Hiller, the actor, as well as Jeff Hiller, the almost would-be pastor. Can you tell me a little bit about your change of direction and what motivated you to want to go into faith-based work?
Yeah.
Although this career is pretty faith-based, I'd say.
That's true. You do have to have a lot of faith. I loved your description of that. It's like so foreign to you. My husband is
also Jewish?
Yes, also Jewish, and he goes. He said he was talking about my family, and he was like, "Wow, they're so exotic." Wasps. Mm-hmm. I grew up in the church, and the church I was
Lutheran, right?
I was Lutheran,
yeah.
Which is like it's a mainline Protestant, but it's it's a little left of center. I mean, not crazy left, but it's a welcoming thing. And I grew up thinking the church was, socially progressive, and they wanted to help poor people. They wanted to lead with love. And I feel like a lot of the news around church in our modern day ear is, it's been co-opted by the right, where the church now is seen as this institution that's meant to punish and be cruel and deny rights and make things good again, great again. And I didn't experience that growing up.
Right.
For me, school was misery. It was awful. People were so mean to me there. But the church was this one place of refuge where people were kind, and I loved it. And I also, it wasn't just that they were kind. I like thinking about the mysteries of the world, and I loved this idea that there was a compassionate God and a kind God and a God that wanted you to love your neighbor and serve your neighbor and help the world. And I thought that was beautiful. But then, of course, I was going to go to seminary and, like the boys. And the seminary at the time was not into that. They said that you couldn't be gay and you could be gay and go to seminary, but you had to be celibate, whereas
right.
Straight pastors could marry, could have kids, could have a whole life, and I just found that rude. So I didn't go into it. Mm-hmm. And instead I went into social work, even though I always wanted to be an actor, but I also wanted to help the world, and then I was really bad at being a social worker.
Why were you bad at being a social worker?
Oh God. There's, it's hard work. It's hard work, but also it's like so much conflict. I just don't like to fight, and I like people to like me. And you can't be a case manager and be like, hey, let's be friends. You know, you have to be like, you didn't go to your job interview? That's bad. And so I didn't know when to be a hard ass and when to be a candy pusher, and I was just bad at it.
Well, do you feel like you get that sort of compassion itch scratch with like volunteering or performing? Like, is there something benevolent that you can?
Yeah, you know, when I perform, especially when I perform for a live audience, I really, not when I'm doing like a stage show, but when I'm doing like stand-up or improv or something, I really like to like make sure my audience is safe. I don't like the kind of comedy where the audience is like, oh, I don't like this. I like people to feel like I'm taking care of you. Don't worry, we're gonna have a good time. We're gonna get out of here at a decent hour. I'm not gonna go on for 3.5 hours or whatever. I want to go to bed at 9 too.
Yeah, limited crowd work.
I'm not. Yeah, I don't like. I hate that when people are like.
Are you not auditioning for immersive Phantom? Is that what I'm gleaning from this conversation?
Yes. I do not want to be an immersive Phantom.
Disappointment number 1. I am keeping track. Could you tell me a little bit about, you mentioned how tough school was. I know you grew up in Texas and you had like junior high in particular was the worst of all of it. Can you tell me a little bit about your mom giving you a makeover?
Yeah, my poor mom, she's so sweet. My mom wanted to help. She wanted to help. Let me just say that first. She wanted to help. And so she asked me what the cool kids wore. And so we got an acid wash jean jacket, which somebody stole immediately. Admittedly, I left it behind in class, so that's a little on me. And she got me a Coca-Cola shirt. Remember that? The Coca-Cola shirts? Anybody from the 80s? No? Yeah. Then you never see that. You never see that.
They're cool.
Yeah, you
bring
never
those
see
back.
them.
You see the Mickey Mouse shirts again, you need to bring back the Coca-Cola shirts.
Yeah, exactly. But then I was like, I had a bowl cut. And she was like, well, what can we do to make your hair better? And we went to, or no, we didn't go to, no, we didn't go anywhere. This lady at our church said, well, he should get a body wave. And so then my mom went and got an Ogilvy home perm.
Perfect.
And she gave me a perm in our kitchen. And I went to school on Tuesday with bone straight hair. And I came back on Wednesday looking like a low-rent orphan Annie. And it didn't solve the issue. It didn't solve the issue. There are pictures in the book to prove it. But also, I was kind of dumb because I think we did 3 or 4 of them. So it's not like I said stop right away. So shame on me, too.
Could you talk to me about... This part made me laugh out loud. Your sister had a subscription to Interview magazine, which is in of itself iconic. We need to hold space for her for a moment.
Oh, she was super cool, yeah. I mean, she still is. Now she's lame.
What a tragedy it befalls us all. Could you tell me about calling the gay party line on the back of Interview magazine in 10th grade, please?
Sure. I stole my dad's credit card. I know. Guess what? It gets worse. I stole my dad's credit card. And then I was like, wait, this is expensive because it's charging by the minute.
Could you just tell people what the number actually was?
The number was 1-800-LOVE-HIM. And then I left our family phone number on a message so that they would call me so I wouldn't have to pay by the minute. And then for the next 3 weeks, our home was a production of The Boys in the Band where men were calling at all hours of the night The number was in our church directory and on a gay sex line. What an idiot. Anyway, I got caught.
Well, they got a phone bill, right?
They got a phone bill that was like $79. Oh, God. $79! My mom just kept shouting it. And then I told them that was that was a teen party line, and that the men calling it were completely unrelated. And I think they just willed themselves to believe it. They were like, okay, if we don't say you're gay, you're not. You know, very Floridian.
Can you tell me a little bit about, well, I found it very moving that you sort of had like given up on acting before you got somebody somewhere. Could you talk a little bit about the process of sort of just like being bowled over by the role on the page and thinking, oh my God, Joel is so much like me, and getting to experience that at an age that was later than the one that you had designated as being like, if I don't get this by that time, then I'm done.
Yeah, I do that a lot in my life. Hopefully I don't anymore, but I did a lot of like, I need a boyfriend by the time I'm 30 or whatever. I need to, if I don't have a TV show by the time I'm 40, it's over. If I don't have kids, well, that one's too late. I say this in the book, like, I told myself I was giving up, but like I didn't tell my agent I was giving up, so was I really giving up? Do you know what I mean? Like, sometimes you just need a little bit of control, but really I was sticking with it because I still had hope somewhere down deep. But when I got the script and I read it, I thought, this is so profound and so beautiful and so rich and nuanced, and they never let people like me play that kind of a role. They only let, movie stars play that kind of a role. And I knew immediately, I knew exactly how to play it. I knew exactly who he was. I knew exactly how to talk like him and move like him, and all of the words made absolute sense in the ear. But honestly, that's happened a lot, and I didn't get those other parts. So there was no like, it's fate, But then when I read that he was like, he'd grown up in the church and he was just nice, as opposed to, I normally play mean people because I'm obviously gay and and I'm not hot. So all you can do is be the guy that's like, you don't have a reservation. That's it, And I do it well, so I do that, I play that, but I knew I had more to give, and I was like, I could give this. But I had auditioned for other roles for TV shows created by people who I was much closer to than I was to Bridget, and didn't get them. And so I really thought, like, I'm just gonna nail this audition. And then more than anything, I thought, this pilot won't get picked up. It's like, it's too good. And then it did happen, and it was so beautiful, and it was a show that I loved working on. I would watch that show even if I weren't on that show. I would love hanging out with those people even if we weren't working. It was, and all of us, the entire cast, are people who have been trying for a real long time to have any sort of success, and we were all having this moment of success together, and so it felt very unique. Is not a big enough word for it. It felt
Kismet.
Yeah, special, magical, beautiful, and I feel so grateful for it. And when I read it, I was like, it's almost like this role was written for me. And then they were like, it wasn't. We didn't know who you were. They've been like, really clear about that.
I was surprised you auditioned. I assumed that it had been written for you.
No, I had to audition.
Absolutely.
And then I went and I had the call back, and they didn't turn on the camera. And I was like, oh, they don't like me. Like, why wouldn't they turn on if they wanted me, they would turn on the camera. I was sitting right there. And then I got a call later that afternoon, and they were like, oh, we forgot to turn on the camera. Can you come to Bridget's apartment? And I was like, yes. So I went.
Oh, those crazy Duplass brothers.
It was Jay.
I know.
He forgot.
Hey, I forgot.
He was like, I was just feeling the vibe.
What's one of your, what do the kids say, core memories that you'll like always remember from being on set, whether it was a scene or like a moment in the house that you were living in with Murray and Bridget? Like, is there something that, you'll always sort of play in your mind when you look back?
Yeah, we lived in a house together for seasons 1 and 2.
You lived in like a Queen of Versailles
Yeah,
style,
it's like this weird Real
Bravo
Housewives
house,
class.
right? Yeah.
But it wasn't properly furnished, so like when you talked, it would echo because there just wasn't any furniture to suck up the sound. I think we used to sit around. During season 1, we would sit around every night, and Murray would make us run our lines for the next day.
I picture him with like a whistle around his head.
Everything but. He was like, if we didn't get it exactly word perfect, he'd be like, from the top, from the top. Murray Hill plays Fred Rococo.
Everybody. Murray Hill.
Yeah. And Bridget and I were always like, the writers kind of want us to make it our own. We don't.
Not on my watch.
Yeah, it was
Showbiz.
Like, this isn't Mammoth. But yeah, he was like, yeah, not on my watch. And then, because I knew it so well, like I only got one take of the scene. I don't know if in season 1 I had a dog and I get stuck in a tornado. And I had this monologue because that dog refused to say any lines.
Well, some of us are professionals and some of us aren't.
Exactly. Sammy. Such a cute dog. And I was on the phone and I had to give this long, like, 2-page monologue, and I only got one take because while we were pretending to do this scene in a tornado, an actual tornado rolled in. And so thankfully Murray did that, and I knew the lines. Yeah. I would have had him anyway. Don't give him that much credit, you know what I'm saying?
Jeff, tell the children of today what chemistry.com was. Because these kids today with their swiping and their grinder and everything else, they don't know what we Gen Xers know, which is when you needed to meet somebody, you had to bring out what was it, just like a full-form SAT test that you had to take?
Exactly. It was it wasn't sort of. It was a blatant ripoff of eHarmony.com. But eHarmony...
They asked you like a million compatibility questions, right? Like that was eHarmony. Did people remember like where you had all these like...
It was literally 150 questions. And then when you were matched up with only 5 people a day, and then you had to say whether or not you jibed with them. And then before you could get like an email to them, you had to answer essay questions back and forth.
And then chemistry was that, but they allowed gay people.
Yes, exactly. And so that's why I signed up for it, and that's how I met my husband after months of rigorous communication via a third-party app.
And you both wrote essays for each other. True?
We did, yeah.
Or false? Do you remember what the essays were?
Yeah, I remember one of them was describe your perfect New York City day.
And what was your perfect New York City day? And what would it be now?
Oh, that's such a good point. Well, I said an autumn day on the Upper West Side and getting coffee at like a Nora Ephron-esque place, and then walking down to Times Square, seeing a show, and then walking back late at night and hearing a saxophone playing, which is like a middling episode of Sex and the City. But now it would be like, I don't know, a nap. And somehow I wake up and find a second bathroom in my apartment.
And what was his essay? Do you remember what he wrote?
I wrote, what's a life choice that you, it was like, what was like a place you thought your life was going and then it didn't go that way. And he's a visual artist, but he had started off as a writer, and get this, he's writing a book now. So see, our lives are a mystery to all of us.
That thieving bastard.
Yeah. Oh, because I wrote a book?
Yeah.
His book is so different. It's like smart. Mine's like, let's tell jokes.
I think the dog should write a book next, and then the cat.
The cat has more of a story. The dog would go first, you're right.
Yvonne DiCarlo.
Yvonne DiCarlo is my dog's name, yes. So named because I'm gay. And Julie always tags me whenever there's a good Yvonne DiCarlo picture on.
And by the way, there's never been a bad Yvonne DiCarlo picture.
Oh, Yvonne DiCarlo played Lily on The Munsters.
She was also in the original Follies.
Right,
so
she's the original Carlotta.
You know,
I'm still here.
High, low,
Yeah.
everything in between. That's
And she played
Jeff's dog.
Salome.
Just like Norma Desmond wants to do.
Yeah.
And I believe she will one day.
Exactly, with her 7 veils or whatever, yeah.
There is that middle-age theme that runs through you, just being so conscious about your age and where you are and other things that you're just like hyper aware and self-critical of. How do you negotiate that? And also sort of take into consideration all the accomplishments that come along with the experience while not being that, you know, you say in the book that like being 25 and hot, there's always gonna be a role for you.
Yeah.
But
There is.
You know, but what role?
Right. And also, like, you can't be 25 and hot forever. You know, you got a couple TV seasons and then that's it. I'm learning to not compare myself. That's kind of what this book was all about. It was really like having that realization. Not, like, of course, like in my mind, you know, I would out loud, I would be like, you shouldn't compare because then you'll despair. But inside I was like, but how old are you? And I feel like that's what this book is about. It's about saying all of the stuff out there doesn't matter. What matters is how do you feel and what do you want to do? And like even being an actor, like I didn't start acting, well, of course, at the time I was like, I'm so old. I was 25. But I was like, embarrassed to admit it because I thought other people would look at me and think like, you can never be an actor, which after this career was wise. They probably were right. But I was embarrassed that people would judge me for that. And instead of just being like, that's what I want to do, so I'm going to do that.
Was writing this helpful to put things out there that you were afraid of being judged for? Does it
Yeah.
help you accept them more?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I wrote that chapter about how I look. I wrote a chapter about how I look. I realized, like, y'all are like, girl, we ain't read this book yet. You gotta spell it out for us. I wrote a chapter about how I look. Because I noticed on the internet, people discuss it
Wait a
frequently.
minute. You're telling me that people, why do I sound like Bill Cosby, on the internet are less
With
than
the
kind
pudding
when
bumps.
they're anonymous and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But even like the makeup designers or the, or like, you know, showrunners are like, can we get a different hairstyle on him? You know what I mean? Like, you start to realize like that. And so I wrote this chapter about like, I used to do this bit in my stand-up where I was like, I'm gay. I'm not telling you because you didn't know. I'm telling you because I want you to know that I know you know. Because I never wanted anybody to think like I was one of those guys who was like, this is my wife Brenda, you know? Why am I talking about this? Oh yeah, because I want people to know that I hear you talking about how I look, and I know I'm not the hottest in the world, and I know I've got weird hair and no eyebrows, and I'm gonna just own it and let you know that. Because
awareness sort of beats someone to the punch a little bit.
yeah, I guess, yeah, I thought I was gonna say something inspirational about it, but really I think I just wanna beat you to the punch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
Whoops.
there's a tremendous confidence that comes along with like saying, I know something before you have a chance to realize it.
Yeah, and I also think, I'm more than that. And I told myself so many times that I wasn't. And I'm more than the fact that I'm almost 50. I'm more than the fact that I don't look gorgeous. December birthday. Oh, somebody did read the book. I do this joke about how I have a December birthday. Because really when you start, because like sometimes you just look at birth year and you do but I have a whole extra year. Anyway.
I'm so much more comfortable with my age.
Yeah,
if you do
totally.
The math.
Now, exactly. I'm really not proving a point, am I? But I think that is what I'm trying to say is that I'm not going to let the world tell me I don't deserve things because I matter. You matter. We matter, you know? Whew.
And
I got back to the inspirational part.
And how much of that voice that you're using to say that to yourself has been absorbed from the world around you, and how much of it is like uniquely formulated from your own little inner demons?
Oh, well.
Whether it's
nature, nurture, right?
Whether it's the business or whether it's growing up bullied, because you do talk about that, like, we all know you're gay when you were growing up, or that asshole when you were doing the Snickers commercial and you were dressed up like, oh my God, this is how stupid people are. You were dressed up like a pilgrim and people were like, patriots suck. And I'm like, oh my God. They literally just start with the letter P. And that guy said that like obnoxious thing to you in the urinal that really like, you know, hurt you. And it did have something to do with the like, we know who you are, but like,
yeah.
It kind of like harkens back to that closeted self, right?
Yeah, because I did spend so much time closeted. You know, the first 22 years of my life, I thought I have to hide who I actually am, and you can't just shake that off. It's not like at 23 I was just like, now it's all fine. So yeah, I think I am. That's what I really wanted to do in this book, was be truthful, authentic, real, because I feel like the more we are real, the more we are authentic, the more we're gonna not be so full of hate for ourselves, for other people. It starts to eat everything up and destroy the world. He said in 2025. Yeah, but you know, I'm also in therapy, and it's not all fixed, and you know, I still am like, oh, I should be hotter or whatever. Mm-hmm. I should fix my nose. I should get, I don't know, what injections or whatever. That's not the problem.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Jeff Hiller.
Yes.
Author, actor. You know what my favorite of your butthole stories are?
Oh, I have 3 butthole stories as a gift for reading the book.
But it comes with responsibility.
Yeah.
I like the one where you have to show your butthole to a doctor on Zoom. Can you tell that story now?
Sure. In 2020,
Pandemic, remember?
It was the high pandemic, and the one thing I accomplished was getting an anal fissure. And I'd love to say it was from hot sex, but it was actually from eating too much food and not drinking enough water. Don't push.
That's a good philosophy. You could have been the title, you know?
Don't push.
Yeah. That could be your self-help book. No?
Yeah. Don't push. My 20-year trail. And I was in a lot of pain, and a friend of mine said, there's a butthole doctor in Chelsea, the gayborhood. Ding, ding, ding. And it's a little on the nose, but I went for it, and I called the place, and they were like, the doctor is not seeing anybody because he's over 65 years old. So he will see you on telemedicine. And I was like, oh, the butthole doctor? And I was just expecting to like log on and sort of explain my issues, like, you know, like a nice conversation. And he was like, nope, need to see it. And I just could not find any angles. And I have a chair in my bedroom. It's from IKEA, brag. My bedroom's big enough for a chair, and I live in New York City. That doesn't mean much to Connecticut people. Anyway, it was like this, and I put my hands, my knees on the arms. And I was like, can you see it? And he was like, it's not enough light. And so I used my newly purchased ring light to light up my ring. And then, get this, he was a real like trickster. And like his dog was like making a noise in the background, and he goes, oh, that's my dog, he's an asshole, and I would. And then he goes, and I would know. And then, when he told me that, he was like, I'm gonna have you see the, whatever, physician's assistant or whatever. And he goes, you'll like him. His fingers are really small. Also, this is really crazy. I didn't put any of this in the book, so this is just for us, Connecticut. When I was like on my knees I was like facing the wall of family photos. And I was like looking at the like pictures of like my family, my nephews, my husband's family, his nephews. And I was like, oh God, it's weird, like my family's looking at me doing this. And he goes, all of Reddit is looking at you doing this. Making it sound like he put it out there on the web. It was pretty funny.
He's got jokes.
Yeah, he's got jokes. He's got jokes. And he had like that real Catskill rhythm. It was funny. It was actually funny. I was laughing. And then since I put that in the book, somebody else told me this story. They were like, that same thing happened to me. Only what I did was put my iPhone on the ground and just squatted. Anyway, what I would say is, take psyllium husks. Avoid it at all costs.
That was the part you almost got in a Funny Thing Happened, right? Was psyllium?
Yes. Psyllium, the wug maker.
Can you tell me about coming out to your folks? That was one of my favorite chapters.
Yeah, I came out. It took me a really long time I was already out basically my entire life, but I didn't want to tell my parents. And I didn't want to tell my parents because they had always been sort of the only people who loved me growing up, because I didn't have friends. Not an exaggeration, I didn't have any friends. And so people are always like, I bet we would have been great friends in high school. I'm like, no, you wouldn't have liked me. Sorry, that was meant to be funny, and I felt like the audience just went, oh, how sad. Read my book. Anyway, I was really worried to tell them because I didn't want to lose them. They were kind of my main support system. And when I told my mom, she said, I know. And she had like done all this research and talked to pastors and like read books and pamphlets about things. And she was immediately supportive. We had this like crazy long 3-hour conversation that night where we were like really talking like adults, not like a parent and a child. And it was great. My dad said nothing. He didn't say anything. He just sat at the table like this. And then we went out to the porch to have that long conversation, and he just went to bed. And during the conversation, I said, you know, do you think it's bad? Like, is he mad at me? And she was like, oh, no, he's just got to get used to it. I've been thinking about it forever. And I was like, forever? And she was like, well, just since you're about 4. And then the next morning, he took me to the airport, and we just had like very banal conversation about the weather and traffic and blah, blah, blah. And then when I was getting the suitcase out of the trunk, he got out of the car too, which normally he doesn't get out of the car. He had a bad leg, but he still got out of the car and came over and just hugged me in this way that was like so tight, you know? And before, like, our family is, you know, he was affectionate, but it'd be like, how you doing? Your side hug, how you doing? And this one was like squeezing me. And that was just the only way he knew how to say, it's okay, and I love you. And it was beautiful.
And he asked you?
Oh, he said, do you have everything? We just want to make sure you have everything. And in that moment, I did. It's funny because you were saying, Connor, that is a very Midwestern thing. I mean, I'm from Texas, so it's a little bit different, but Texas is kind of like the Midwest, but like with guns. And that is very Midwestern. Like, I think about Mike Haggerty on Somebody Somewhere, like that stoic, like there's all this river of emotion and love underneath, but there's this demeanor, you know, and I think it's the patriarchy that does that, and men suffer from that too, because they're not, my husband always says, if men would just gasp every once in a while, we wouldn't have wars. He's like, you just need to go, ah! And then you wouldn't need to bomb everyone. And see, his book's gonna be good, you should get it. But I think that's my dad too. It is that specific type of, you know, he's born in 1940. He doesn't believe in therapy or never had it at least, and he's not able to say what he feels because he's been told that's not okay. And anyway, but it was so beautiful that he showed how he felt.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to finish by asking you about this line from Somebody Somewhere that I didn't realize you had improvised, which was, "This is church." And I don't know where you are with your faith, or I know that, you know, there's obviously lots of flavors have entered the chat, whether it's like Brene Brown and Oprah and all, you know, anything woo-woo, which is fun, you mentioned. But you did sort of come to this conclusion at the end of the book that was so moving to me, which was sort of in place of all the signposts that you put for your life, saying, I have to do this by 30, and I've got to do this, all this stuff where people say, we make plans and God laughs. You sort of substituted gratitude.
Yeah.
Or not substituted, but you supplemented faith with gratitude. And I wondered if you could talk a little bit about that and that line you improvised.
Yeah, so on the season 1 finale, Sam, Bridget Everett's character, sings to Joel, my character. She sings this beautiful song. It's very sad, but it's about like, you brought me home is what the words are, and it's saying like, you saved me. I was drowning, and I found you. And then the characters are living it up on the growler, and they're all laughing and dancing and drinking and making dirty jokes. And Jeff, not Joel, Jeff felt like, I can't, like, this is so beautiful, like, to laugh and to feel connection, to have human community. And so I just improvised, this is church, because also my character was having a problem with his church. And so basically I'm a writer. I guess I am, actually, now that I think about it. It's kind of inarguable. I did not have a ghostwriter. People are like, we know. But I do feel that way. I feel like it's about human connection, it's about joy, and it is about gratitude. And it's not about, like so much of my life when I was comparing myself to other people was about like the future and what will come and what will come. And I was ignoring what I had. My mom used to sing this song. She would sing, "An attitude of gratitude will get you through the day." And I was always like, shut up. And she's right. She's freaking right. And so even though Somebody Somewhere is not coming back, it's like, I had 3 seasons of Somebody Somewhere. What a joy.
What a joy, what a miracle, you know?
Yeah.
And what grace to be able to see that.
Yeah.
Your cat told me the title of her book is An Attitude of Catitude.
Oh my God, I just saw her little paw pads on the computer and I almost wept. It was so cute.
Should we open up questions to the audience? Is it time for a Q&A?
Hello,
There's
folks.
a step and repeat.
We have a
Library
step.
is
Of course,
amazing.
Julie. Come on. This is Westport. If you have any questions, come on and queue up right here, and we'll get the line going.
Don't be shy,
Don't be shy.
Westport. Ask us anything.
You can ask about Somebody Somewhere, it's okay.
You could
I know that's the only thing
you could ask about
You know me from.
which 2 of us is wearing more shapewear.
The answer will surprise you.
You
No.
could ask what our signs are. Oh, we have one.
I volunteer as tribute. So you've been talking a lot about joy tonight, and I'm curious, what is bringing you joy this week, both of you?
Oh, this week.
This
I know,
week's
it's
tough.
it's
This
tough.
has been a
It's
tough one.
It's tough. It's tough.
Oh, I have an answer.
Great.
The heat broke, and they have Halo Top vanilla at my deli.
Oh, that is a good one. For me, I was away, and I just came home, and my dog, when she saw me, she did this. And I very much loved that, and it brought me a lot of joy.
I just want to say thank you both for being here and kind of what you said about, and I'm really looking forward to reading your book with my sister this summer, not being where you thought you would be and the idea of sort of taking it one step at a time, I think is fantastic and something I think I need to pay more attention to in my life. Have you kind of stopped projecting years down the line or, you know, where you think you want to be at a certain point, or is that something that's kind of always in the back of your mind?
Well, it's weird because you do want to set goals, right? You don't want to just be stagnant, but you want to set goals for things that you have control over, not things that, because for me it was always really about like, I mean, if we can get real.
Let's do it.
Okay, since you were right here and just went back there and it's so far away from me.
I know.
If we want to get real, it's like I felt like I needed accomplishments to see that I was liked.
Yeah.
And I am liked. I don't need a gold statue to prove that to myself. Do I still be like, I'd like to be on a TV show where I make enough money to buy a house? Yeah, I do. Yeah. Do you own them? Do you own Netflix? So yeah, but it's not, I get it. Like, this is a platitude that's like so much easier said than lived. But I guess what I just really want to say repeatedly and often is like, what I've done is I'm saying I, but I really mean us. What I've done is enough. And I'm not a failure because I'm not Lady Gaga. That was the only famous person I could think of.
Thank you.
Finger on the pulse. That hot new thing, Lady Gaga.
It's a very Johnny Carson. Lady Gaga. Who's next? Who's got a question? Hello.
Hi.
Hi. is suddenly some. God, I can't.
Did you say suddenly somewhere? Suddenly somewhere. By the way, no one can remember the name of the show. No, one guy said Nobody Nowhere, which hurt. Most people on the street now are like, I love your HBO show. It's a hard
Max
topic.
Now.
What's that?
It's Max now.
Yeah. No, but now it's going back.
Oh, yeah. Is somebody somewhere definitely, I know I signed a petition. Is it definitely done?
I think it's definitely done on HBO, but I think okay, I'm saying this as like, there's a whim of a hope of like coming back, but there's no concrete plans or anything. Don't call deadline. It's like, let's just say, nobody in the cast would have to move to London. Do you know what I'm saying? We all want to be a part of it. That was a reference to And Just Like That. All of us loved it so much. It was a family. We would love to come back. And, you know, the Duplass brothers make independent films, so there's no concrete plan by any means.
What's next for you then? Like now that you have this platform that you've becoming a celebrity and what's next for you?
There's a typo on the cover of my book. I'm not a celebrity. Barbra Streisand doesn't have a typo on the cover of her book.
Where's the typo?
It says actress of a certain age. What I'm trying to say here is, I think I might not be the celebrity you think I am. There's not a lot of there's not a team of people really scanning the book. Do you know what I'm saying?
Dog skincare then?
What's that?
Dog skincare line then? That's your next move?
I'm doing a dog skincare line. I think, I'm going to just keep auditioning, which is what I keep doing. And
I've known Jeff Hiller for over 20 years, and Jeff Hiller is always working and he's always doing something. And when he is not auditioning or he is not cast in something, Jeff Hiller makes his own work. Jeff Hiller writes his own shows. Jeff Hiller puts up his own stuff. You've only begun to see what Jeff Hiller can do.
The nice thing is now, people come to it, whereas before they didn't. If I'd gotten an audience like this when I was writing my first solo show, holy shit, that would have been crazy. Did you have another question, or are you just feeling forced to stand
Who's
there?
next? Who's next?
Sorry, she was like, no, I was just waiting for you to stop talking.
Hi, thank you for sharing yourselves with us today.
Oh.
I have 3 quick things I promised. One is there a song or any kind of cutie thing that you might say to your pets when you first get home?
Oh, do you have one?
I've got more than one.
Yeah, same.
Hooray for Jimmy Jam. That's one. What do you say to anyone?
I say, bunny, 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 and I clap my hands, and she's often says,
How Laurie Anderson of you.
yeah, well, what can I say? I'm a real Philip Glass.
And also, at the end of the last season, you were sitting at the table crying, and sorry, I need to know this story where you were going in your head. Were you crying because it was like a decision you made and you were dealing with it about the kids? Or do you think, just pretend, do you think you were crying because those are the sacrifices you make?
I could cry right now. I thought it was, I like my life. My life is good, but it's not the life I dreamed, and so I need to mourn that life too. Mm-hmm. And I identify. Do you know what I mean? I wanted kids. I don't have them, and so. But that doesn't mean that my life now is bad, right? Or that I made the wrong choices. It just means I need to mourn that dream and feel gratitude for the life I have. I guess.
Because I think it's fair to say we all wanted whatever you wanted because you're all our best friend. And thank you for answering that. My last, it's not really a question, but a statement for you. My best friend Deb and I are here tonight. We are both middle school teachers and in Connecticut, of all places. And I just want you to know, as a middle school teacher, 7th and 8th grade, we do make the classroom safe for everyone, and that is what we stand on. And that is the most important thing that we can do.
Thanks.
So, thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Deb.
Hi there, Jeff. Oh,
Hello.
hi. Can you hear me
Could you
okay?
get right up to the mic
Oh,
for
yeah,
us?
sure. Hi, Jeff. I just wanted to say I love Somebody Somewhere so much, and I just loved the your character arc, especially in the show. And I think it was the pilot where you're talking to Sam and about her, her sister that passed away. And, Sam's like, oh, you went to school with me? And you said, oh, yeah, I did, but, you don't remember me, that's okay. And that kind of, made me kind of tear up a little bit because, everybody should feel seen and I love towards the end where, you go back to your church and, she's like, oh, it's great to have you back. And, you said you started crying, because just like the, woman before me was like, you were crying at the kitchen table. Right. And, she's like, oh, are you okay? And I thought it was really funny. And, because I'm a crier too. And you say, oh, this is just something I do now. So that's all I just wanted to say. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being
By the way, it is something I do now.
Yeah.
So I just started crying just right then when talking about middle school.
Oh, I'm leaky on all sides. Yes.
There. Can you hear me okay?
Yes,
Yes.
you can.
Let me get closer. I was sitting right there in the
I
front
know,
row.
I
So
see.
I forced my husband. First of all, I just want to say thank you to my husband who will let me come out here an hour early just so we could sit in the front row. Number two, I wanted to say this. I really appreciate that teacher. I grew up incredibly bullied myself, as many of us did. And I think there's something, you're almost 50, I'm 51, that comes with this age of appreciation of it doesn't really matter what the hell other people think, and what matters is those that are close to us and those that are bringing us into their families. And so I appreciate you sharing your stories on that. Number two, very quickly, is as somebody who is going to get on stage next month for my own tight 2-minute comedy moment on the topic of human resources, yes, it's gonna be amazing. I'm curious.
Minutes?
2 minutes. I created a tight 2 minutes out of my real life experience of a young man who opened up a pocket knife as I was going through a termination conversation. It was hilarious. But I'll be telling that story. I wonder if you have any advice for a 51-year-old aspiring comic.
Are you really an aspiring comic?
No, but I am gonna do this tight 2 minutes. And it's gonna be freaking hilarious. So, but I could use some confidence booster or advice.
Well, first of all, I'm not worried.
I'll take that every day of the week.
You're doing just fine. No notes. I always think to myself, it doesn't matter how long it is, end with a bang. Just know exactly what you're going to say at the end. That's all that matters.
Not just bang and then jump off stage.
Already starting.
Exactly. I'm not worried about you at all. And you may say
you so
aspiring comic, but I think you're already there.
What a joy. Thank you for being here.
Do we have anybody else? Any other questions, comments, compliments? Jeff Hiller, actress of a certain age, my 20-year trail to overnight success.
Oh. You can do it. One more.
Let's do it, yeah.
Well, you played one of the most loved characters, and when I saw you, I thought there's my friend, and I love him. You must have some weird experiences with people feeling really familiar with you all of a sudden.
Yeah, that's not so bad. I have exactly a beautiful, perfect amount of fame, which is that I can walk down the street just fine. No bodyguards are needed. And then every once in a while, somebody says, "Oh, I love you." Great. Feels good. Feels really nice. So, yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I love you too.
Anyone else? Any parting words? Thank you all for being here. Happy Pride. Thank you, Connecticut. Thank you, Westport. Screw Darien!
Yeah!
Jeff Hiller!
And Jeff will be signing right over at the table over here. You can queue up.